When I started the role as the artist in residence during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, I really went into it in a blank canvas, and I kind of didn't really know which way it was going to go. But I knew I had to kind of get a focal point that I needed to concentrate on. Otherwise, I was going to miss it. You know, you only get one chance to see the Trooping the Colour. You don't get to revisit it. And I thought long and hard about it, and actually it was glaringly obvious. It was shining me in the eye. She is so passionate about her horses, and so it was a very simple decision in the end. I was like, right, I'll focus this collection on the horses of the Platinum Jubilee. The three key areas in the UK were the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment, the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery, and the Royal Mews. And then the extra addition of visiting equine institutions in with the Royal Cavalry of Oman and the Garde Républicaine gave me a really great framework to use. And so from a passion of the Queen, and essentially I wanted to honour her by capturing something she was seriously enthusiastic about. So the process starts on the ground. I typically work with my photographer and filmmaker Adam Blackmore-Heal, and I'd guide him around, we'd talk about what I was trying to capture. I would be sketching and taking down notes in my little notebook. So with Adam's film and photography and my sketchbook, I'd come back to the studio and have loads of ideas bursting with inspiration. I'd play around with colours, compositions, ideas that I thought would work, and I'd put them on the iPad, and maybe they wouldn't, or maybe they would. And then come up, through trial of error, basically, come up with the idea. Then I would go into sketch it in oil and create a small 20 by 30 centimetre sketch in oil, just to make sure that it would work. Again, further experimentation, and often I would rework colours when, we're moving it from digital into the physical. So next I would photograph that sketch and scale it up to the size of the canvas. Once I got the correct size, I would then prepare the canvas. And I think, unlike many artists, I actually spent a long time prepping the canvas ready for painting, because so much of the background is part of the painting. So I'd prepare the canvas and slap on acrylic paint and spray paint and manipulate it, and generally add to it until I was happy. Once that was dried, then I would transfer the sketch, the blown up sketch, onto the actual painting or the canvas that I've prepared. And so you'd have the plan, I always call it like the blueprint. You'd have the blueprint good to go. And then you start the painting process. And actually, surprisingly, the painting the actual canvases was probably the quickest part of it, because you had all that time beforehand where I was experimenting, planning and changing things and tweaking. By the time you get to painting the main canvas, you're all set, and so it just flows very freely. And it is very much the most enjoyable part of the painting process, is seeing that canvas come to life. Typically you would have the canvas there, all set, all good to go, finished, and then I would sit with it for 2 weeks or maybe a week, depending on how long is a piece of string. So I'd sit with it and just come in every day, look at it, and just going away and coming back to it, you start to see things which aren't quite right. That's when the tweaking starts, and you change that and tweak that and sort that out. And then eventually you get to this moment. It's kind of like whether it's exhaustion or just contentness, you get to a moment where you're like, right, that is done, finished. And then on to the next one. The process starts again. And I'd like to do canvases like succinctly, rather than a lot of artists do many together. I like to do it, finish one canvas, move on to the next. My style of painting for this collection is essentially the pinnacle of previous experimentation. A year ago, I started playing with reflections. It's not quite a water reflection, but it adds to the symmetry, and I feel the combination of the symmetry and the elongated legs really adds to the elegance and the movement of the horse. The collection I've come up with is, I deliberated a lot about it, and if I had more time I would have produced a lot more work, but I had to condense it down. And so I started the collection with sketching out ideas, and I had a mood board up. I just had loads of ideas, loads of sketches, and just boiled them down, condensed them down to 9 key canvases. And roughly those 9 key canvases are split into key areas of the Jubilee. So the first one is the Royal Windsor Horse Show, where we saw the Household Cavalry performing. So I've got a lovely kind of nighttime painting of, or kind of performance lit by various different lights, of the grand finale of the Household Cavalry galloping out of the arena. It's just brilliant. It's such a monumentous occasion. Everyone's cheering. It's a real kind of, you feel very proud to be part of that tradition. Then I've got the Royal Cavalry of Oman doing the Ardour, and for that I've focused on one horse for it. It's a very large canvas. It's probably one of the biggest canvases in the collection. The amazing red light that is cast from these performances, because it's so dark, the colours are just so different from daylight, and it just captures the uniform, the pure silver that they use in their costumes, and these beautiful Arab horses, so it captures it perfectly. And then the final one for the Royal Windsor Horse Show was the Le Garde Républicain and their performance of Le Maison du Roi. I really wanted to push the envelope with regards to capturing the colours, because all the colours at the Royal Windsor Horse Show were so artificial. It was brilliant. It was this hot pinks and blues, and it fitted very well with my style of painting, which is all about colour and movement. And then I kind of progressed on to doing a lot about the procession and trooping the colour. It was so focused around the Mall and the movement of troops going past people. Everyone remembers watching everyone going past, and I really wanted to capture that mood. And so I really focused on that. Is focused on the colour, the movement, and the procession, long lines. And then the final piece, which I very nearly didn't do in the end, but the final kind of canvas that I wanted to do was the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery doing their musical drive. Having gone round the arena and done some very kind of what appear to be dangerous moves as gun carriages are passing each other and going in a figure of 8. Looks spectacular, and on the final exit, they all kind of go full tilt out of the arena, and I wanted to capture that scene. I think I've done that. I think I've kind of caught that. What I have done differently this year is, instead of just focusing completely on that collection, on the Jubilee collection, I've done some frame sketches, because I did so many of these sketches and a lot of them never made it into big canvases, but there's still something quite magical about them. There's still something quite raw about them, and they kind of, I feel, lead one to see how I ended up painting the big canvases. So this time I've got about 19 small frame sketches that I've put in as well. The exhibition was just amazing. It was fantastic to finally see all my work up, all the sculptures up, and to experience the collection as a whole. Because beforehand, you just see it as you're building it, you just see it as a couple of canvases there or sculptures over there. You never see it up together. It's also very special having the Household Cavalry, the Royal Mews, and King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery come in as the subjects and actually see the works themselves. Which it was really well received. So it was great to see a depiction of their hard work, especially this year with the addition of the Queen's funeral. I feel the men and women and horses behind all this have just worked so hard. So it was a great honour to have them in, to really kind of, for the subjects to experience their own paintings.